funk, a delicious time here with us and Dr. K. You know,
And that was an hour of probably the most funkiest music, people, and everything in between that we like to call as that was, Dr. K's Vinyl Fantasy Funhouse. And it was exciting, but it is 8 a.m. I almost said p.m. because the coffee's not hitting yet, but this is morning buzz time, and we got a wonderful crew. But before we even get to introducing, guys, there's a huge anniversary across the globe, around the galaxy, as even mentioned by the one and only Dr. K and his fancy funkiness. Star Wars, everybody, is celebrating not one, not two, not three, but 45 years of entertaining nerds. No, I'm kidding. Of nice people. Guys, we have a fantastic show here on the Morning Buzz on WMSC 90.3 Upper Montclair. We are also available on Facebook Live. And of course, if you have apps, the iHeartRadio app. Anyways, let me introduce everyone because we got a new crew here on Thursdays. Who needs Lara and JT when you have me, Isaiah, Terry, and Jo making her debut on the Morning Buzz? Jo, I'm gonna ask you, how are you doing?
I'd say I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm hanging out. I'm having a good time.
Absolutely. Terry, you
Hi.
are here as well. And how's the people downstairs doing before we get started on the show?
They've actually quieted down for our listeners back home. I live on top of like a t-shirt making place, and they were really going at it this morning, really chit-chatting, but they're doing very fine. I think they've quieted
love
it down.
To hear it.
Yeah, but
business is booming.
Business is booming. Well, maybe not this second, but
no, it's not.
But the Zoom airways are very clear right
yes.
now.
No, it is booming. The Morning Buzz, y'all.
Of course.
And Jo is making her debut, and you're probably asking, what does she even do? Well, I'll tell you. She delivers the news report around 8-ish a.m. So we'd like to know, Jo. I haven't looked at my phone. I haven't even listened to radio yet. I have done nothing. I need to know what's going on around the world, close to home. What kind of weather? What should I put on a jacket today? Jo, take it away.
Well, here you go. Since you asked so nicely. In national news, New York City has been losing people as well as cities all across the country. Between July 2020 and July 2021, New York City has lost over 305,000 people, and Chicago lost 45,000, with Los Angeles losing 40,000. San Francisco has lost the highest percentage of their city out of all the cities in America, with a total of almost 55,000 people, or almost 6.3% of its residents leaving. San Antonio and Phoenix, which are both in the top 10 largest cities in the country, they both gained new residents, but they only gained back less than 1% of their respective populations. This could be due to a lot of things. A lot of people have reevaluated how their lives have been shaping up during the pandemic, causing a lot of people to move. In some Jersey news, a man wielding a sword caused the lockdown of several businesses in Hunterdon County Wednesday afternoon. The man broke the windows of a deli with the sword before walking into a wooded area nearby. When officers ordered the man to drop his sword, he refused and ran at an officer, quote, in an aggressive manner. The man then fled into the woods again, and police were able to take him into custody around 4:30 p.m., where he now faces charges of aggravated assault against a police officer, a weapons offense, and criminal mischief. And last but not least, in Montclair news, a man has been stealing from the Whole Foods on Bloomfield Avenue by simply walking to the store, filling bags with groceries, and then walking out without paying. He has stolen over $400 worth of groceries this way, stealing about $100 each trip. And currently here at beautiful Montclair State, it is 56 degrees and partly cloudy, expect a high of 68 and a low of 56, with partly cloudy and cloudy skies all day.
Thank you very much, Joe. We appreciate you. And that was a
Mhm.
stellar news report here on the Morning Buzz Thursday edition. But something interesting before we go into sports, everyone's favorite topic, that man stealing groceries from Whole Foods is low key. He's doing stuff for the people, when you think about it. Whole Foods is stealing from us,
He's
charging
like
millions.
he's like Robin Hood.
Mhm.
Yes, he's
like Robin
modern day
Hood.
Robin Hood. Absolutely. I appreciate. Okay, I'm just kidding, guys. Don't steal.
Please don't
not
steal.
ideal.
Don't
Isaiah
listen
doesn't
to him.
approve of it. Not at all. Unless it's I'm kidding. Guys, sports has been on fire, as we like to say. So we will start with the association known as the NBA, as Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals was last night, and it was not a game for offense lovers. The Celtics cruised to a 93-80 victory to take a 3-2 lead. Jaylen Brown went off for 25 points on 10 of 19 shooting. As star player Jimmy Butler had a rough game as injuries have been seeming to catch up to him. Butler struggled to score, going 4 of 18 for 13 points, as Bam Adebayo had also shown some signs of life as he scored 18, grabbing 10 boards. For the Heat to win Friday night, they need better performances from players as Kyle Lowry and Max Strus, who shot a combined, get this, 0 for 15 in the game. They did not make a single bucket. Now we go into the thing called hockey. Yeah, in NHL, the Blues beat the Avalanche 5-4 in a thrilling overtime game to take a 3-2 lead in the second round of the playoffs. And in soccer, Jose Mourinho becomes the first manager to win the Champions League, Europa League, and European Conference League as Roma beat Feyenoord 1-0. Lastly, in the NFL, 34-year-old quarterback Colin Kaepernick and the Las Vegas Raiders completed a workout with each other, and it marks the first workout the quarterback has had since 2017 with an NFL team. That's all for sports, everybody. Still interesting to see that despite being 34, Colin Kaepernick did get a workout. Good for him. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. And just for context, I think it's important to note the Raiders are going through a pretty rough investigation that has a lot to do with very bad things going on in their front office. So at least from my perspective, it seems like they're just trying to get some good PR for the day. So shout out to their PR team, I guess. Not really. I don't like the Raiders or Vegas. I hate it all. Now we have some more important news to talk about. We're going to keep it home. We're going to talk about some U.S. news as Biden has signed a new executive order. President Joe Biden signed an executive order on Wednesday to improve accountability in policing. The bill was signed on the second anniversary of George Floyd's death. His death was the catalyst for a nationwide protests and large series of demonstrations in the largest series of demonstrations in American history. Sadly, the executive order signing comes one day removed from the tragic mass shooting at a Texas elementary school that killed 19 children and 2 teachers. President Biden and Vice President Harris gave remarks that promised change for gun violence and police brutality despite the partisan divides on Capitol Hill. Biden had this to say, quote, "I know progress can be slow and frustrating. Today we are acting. We're showing that speaking out matters, being engaged matters, that the work of our time, healing the soul of this nation, is ongoing and unfinished and requires all of us to never give up." End quote. Lawmakers continue to show they are not on the same page to reach an agreement on how to reform police policies or on efforts to reduce mass shootings. Most of Biden's orders is focused on federal law enforcement agencies, for example, requiring them to review and revise policies on use of force. It will also create a database to help track officer misconduct. The administration cannot require local police departments to participate in the database, which is intended to prevent problem officers from hopping from job to job. Officials are also looking for ways to use federal funding to encourage their cooperation. The order is designed to restrict the flow of surplus military equipment to local police. Floyd's family was at the event where Biden signed the executive order and had this to say on the matter, quotes, "While this action does not have the long-term impact that we had hoped for, it does represent incremental progress, and we need to commit ourselves to making progress every day." End quote. Terry, I'm gonna let you take your first shot here. Oh, that was bad. Did not mean to say it that way. Terry, please go.
It's really rough to see stories like this, obviously. And it's just the fact that our society's become so desensitized to these matters, to the fact that when an administration says they're going to propose a new executive order, I don't feel any type of confidence that anything's going to change until I actually see it. And I think a lot of people feel that way. I think we're all very frustrated of the state of our country, how often these shootings happen, and how little action that we feel our administration and our politicians are doing for us. So I guess the jury's out in a sense of what's really going to come of this. I hope that they're taking into consideration of training for law enforcement and really having them understand that a lot of the time when these happen in underfunded, disproportionately supported communities, that they need to be treated differently, and really understanding like institutionalized racism and those elements that play into law enforcement. I feel like that education is not really taught to cops more. And obviously militarization and excessive force is a huge factor, but I think they're dancing around the racism part. And I really hope they take that into consideration when they propose this bill and when they propose this to local police departments, because that's going to be the main route in kind of rectifying this relationship between law enforcement and the people, and law enforcement and people of color in particular. So for me, I'm still like, okay, you're saying this, that's great. You want to fix this, that's great. But it's a matter of like actually seeing the bill go into action and seeing whether police departments are going to take it. Because for example, for the database, they're not even going to be required to take it unless like they're going to use more funds as kind of collateral. So they should want to do it, like those things. But a lot of police departments aren't going to want to do it because they are those types of police departments that are kind of sketchy and wanting to put things under the rug. So I guess I don't want to make too many negative assumptions right now, but in hopes that it will pass and people will cooperate, I hope it will work out. But now I'm just kind of like, all right, this is great, because a lot of people say things and then it's a matter of what they're going to do after. So those are kind of my thoughts on it.
100% agree with you on that, Terry. Jo, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, I do. I definitely agree with Terry. I definitely agree that it feels like, okay, well, what is this going to do? Are you skirting around the actual issue? What's actually going to come of this? But I also feel like maybe it's not, I wouldn't say it's too late, because this can still affect things in the future if it actually works and it actually does something and they actually continue to take step forwards. But at the same time, it feels like in a way it is a bit late. Like this should have happened a year ago or 2 years ago when George Floyd was actually murdered, or years before that when other people of color were getting murdered by police. And it's been so long. I'm glad we're finally taking like actual action to move forward and introduce hopefully some new reforms and new policies. But at the same time, people are already dead. This has already killed people.
Exactly. And it's just so frustrating, because I agree with you saying it feels too late. Now that we see the stats, children, young people, old people, like people have lost lives because of the lack of action. And I think that's the most frustrating part, because at the end of the day, like you said, it's great that, okay, you're proposing something now because it'll hopefully stop things from happening in the future. But it calls a question of like, what was preventing you from doing something then? Why is it now? And why did we have to wait to this point to where we're averaging about approximately 200 mass shootings this year alone, and we're only 100 and some days into the year? What is it now that you're like, okay, maybe this is an issue? It's always been an issue. So it's just really frustrating. But like we're saying, hopefully action will come about it, but you just don't feel confidence in your leadership at this point to actually see that action come about, when so many things have happened. And at this point, the entire society is basically desensitized to it.
Yeah, I almost wish, the other day I was thinking about this, especially because of what happened at the Texas elementary school. And obviously we always end up hearing the thoughts and prayers thing, and then that doesn't really lead to anything. And then it's what's the next thing going on. And then the whole time I was thinking, it's just, this country needs a reset of politicians, of lawmakers, and all that stuff. It just feels that whoever, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, it doesn't really matter. Both sides, in my opinion, seem to like have sold themselves out to so many different other organizations like the NRA and other things like that. And then they're taking this personal gain for their future, their livelihood. I don't really care. And it seems like they've sold Americans out because they would rather take that paycheck, that money, and then have more mass shootings, have more people die for no cause. And it's just ridiculous that you have all these people and they've been in government for all these years and they are so late to everything and it makes no sense. So I don't know, whenever the next election is, I hope that we have smarter candidates, people that have more modern thinking, are more progressive, that they understand the state this country is in, because who we have now is an absolute embarrassment. And it's ridiculous that we have to call them our own officials because it just, oh, it's so frustrating, man, because nothing ever gets done. It's this
Exactly.
constant, endless circle of nothingness. And
It's because like they put America as a business first.
Mhm.
And that's the hard thing about it, is that America is seen as a business first before it's seen as a society with people in it, with lives in it, who want to have a safe and healthy environment for everyone to live in. But when you put America as a business first, everybody else goes away and it's just you and your money. And what does that do other than isolate you? And now you have all this money. What are you supposed to do about it? You have people to take care of. And I feel like a lot of politicians have forgotten that.
That is a perfect
Yeah.
way to put it, Terry.
Yeah.
We are going to move on though, because I'm sure we could talk about this for probably another whole hour on the Morning Buzz.
Definitely.
Terry, we're going to take it to Essex County. What's going on there?
Something really unfortunate. An inmate died while in custody at Essex County Correctional Facility, making him the fourth person to be held by the county to die in recent months. So Dan Gellin, 27, was fatally stabbed by an inmate in December. Garrison Bryant, 33, was killed in February after being reportedly beaten in a fight while in custody at a privately run jail annex adjacent to the facility where the county houses low-level detainees. And in earlier this month, an unnamed 66-year-old inmate was experiencing, quote, medical distress, end quote, at the jail and later died at the university hospital. The male was found unresponsive at the jail and was pronounced dead at University Hospital. The Essex County Prosecutor's Office and the local medical examiner's office are conducting the required investigation in conjunction with the jail's internal affairs unit. According to the Essex County Chief of Staff, Phil Alaglia, at this time there is, quote, no obvious evidence of foul play or suicide were noted at the scene, end quote. Essex County remains under scrutiny for recent deaths in their custody and a jail beating that left a man paralyzed. In September, Jayshawn Boyd, a 22-year-old man with a history of mental health issues, was brutally beaten into a coma by a group of inmates. The attack was caught on surveillance video. It shows 7 men punching, kicking, and stomping Boyd, who was motionless through much of the attack. While Boyd was on the ground, the men also twice hit with a microwave oven and struck him with a multi-gallon beverage dispenser, water cooler, trash can, and industrial mop bucket. He eventually awoke from the coma, but is now paralyzed from the waist down. Boyd filed a lawsuit in April in State Superior Court against Essex County, jail leadership, correctional officers, and health workers. In the suit, he claims authorities subjected him to unsafe conditions of confinement, that officers failed to interfere in the attack, and that he received inadequate medical care. In response to the Boyd beating, the county launched a civilian task force led by retired Newark Public Safety Director Anthony Ambrose to review the operating procedures at the jail, including security, staffing roles, and responsibilities of all employees after the attack was publicized. The task force has not released any public findings at this point. Ooh, Isaiah, how are you feeling about the story right now?
Yeah, this is very interesting because obviously very sad because a lot of people are dying within this jail facility, which goes, there's a lot of questions to be asked from that. What is going on with security in there? Are people kind of being persuaded by the people in jail? I don't really know how that many people are able to die in a jail. I feel like they need to definitely upgrade security measures. I don't know if it's funding or it's just lack of care, or maybe the people in charge aren't really in charge there. Regardless, that is a very sad story. And I think the worst part, obviously, those people that died, very sad. The 22-year-old that was absolutely beaten and is now paralyzed from the waist down is, how does that happen? And then
Right.
to be caught on video and no one decided to, prevent that, get security in there ASAP, because that wasn't just a beating, like that was an attempted murder. Like they
Exactly.
put a microwave on the guy. They used, I don't know, that whole thing is very disturbing. It doesn't sound real almost. It seems so far-fetched that many people would go to that length to another human. But it happened, and this is
I know.
very
It's so weird because like you would think there's someone watching the surveillance cameras.
Mhm.
Usually, I'm assuming there's usually people watching those surveillance cameras like a hawk. So how did someone miss that? Did you not hear it? Is this just a lack of care, like you were saying? It caused a
Yeah.
lot because this isn't the first time other corrections facilities and jails and things like that have undergone something like this and really mishandled a lot of their inmates. I get that inmates are there for a reason. They committed crimes, but they're still human beings and should kind of be treated like such. You shouldn't just let them die left and right and just
Yeah.
dispose of them as if they're absolutely nothing. They're there to be rehabilitated. That's also another thing. I could go on and on about that. Is it really rehabilitation or is it just like timeout essentially?
And is everyone in there actually guilty? Because you always hear these cases of people that are in jail that either committed crimes that, aren't deserving of being in jail, or two, they were never actually committing the crime and they were just accused, found guilty, comes out like 15 years later. Oh, by the way, you weren't guilty. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Enjoy life now. Like, I think there's a lot of things that could be talked about it, or our jail system within this country, just like
Yeah.
our politicians. Nothing makes sense here.
Exactly. Just from this story alone, too. It's
Yeah.
just like, what is going on in this facility to where 4 people had to die?
Mhm.
And they're not even like saying what's coming about it, even though they have this new task force at hand. It's just that one should have been enough to say, how are we gonna, like, I get some people die in jail.
Yeah.
For sure. 4 is to the point where what are we doing for these people so that their mental health is stable enough to where they don't want to commit more acts of crime and that everybody feels safe in an environment where they can feel like they're being rehabilitated. But like we were saying, that's a whole nother layer of like, that's not really what's happening in these correctional facilities in general. So it's really unfortunate that these people have to pay the price and don't even get a chance to have a second chance at coming back into society because of the environment that they're in. So it's just, and I'm still thinking about the details of that 22-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a young person. Like
I know.
they've barely started life kind of deal.
That's literally someone our age. We would go to school with that person.
Exactly. Like it could have been one of us had we messed up somewhere,
Exactly.
This
Joe,
is
how
just
are
a
you
tough one.
feeling over there?
I definitely agree with everything that both of you have said. I feel like I could talk longer about it, but it would also be like a whole rant about the privatization of prison facilities.
Mhm.
Because I feel like all this kind of stems from a larger issue of my opinion is it stems from like capitalism and racism. And a lot of the things that I think police brutality comes from, I think it's all kind of symptoms of the same issue. And it's awful. They're still people in there.
Exactly.
They may have committed a crime, but that doesn't mean that they deserve to die.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that has been a lot of hard news, guys, but it's the importance of it that matters the most, and you should know all this stuff. And nothing like talking about police brutality and murders in jails to start your morning off. We're gonna head to a break now because I don't know how to transition out of that. So when we come back, we have an interview with Tom Hall, who's the co-head and artistic director of Montclair Film, and how they are celebrating Asian American Pacific Islander Month. Terry, get hyped! Yay!
I just realized that our listeners couldn't see me like dancing, but
Oh
yeah,
she's dancing. Just like the
50%
Long
of
Branch
me.
people. Yeah. Okay, we're back soon.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, a pump.
So Montclair Film is celebrating Asian American and Pacific Islander with a handful of screenings throughout the month of May. Join with me today is Montclair Film co-head and artistic director, Tom Hall. Thank you so much for joining us today, Tom.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, so I just want to get into, so what made you guys decide to have a screening for AAPI?
Yeah, so there's an organization in Montclair called AAPI Montclair that's a community-based organization that are looking to sort of elevate awareness among the AAPI community. And they reached out to us, and we've had a relationship with several of their members in the past. And they reached out to us about collaborating with us on a program of films that they felt would help with their mission and their goals. And we do a lot of that work as a nonprofit film organization. We partner with other nonprofit film or other nonprofit organizations who have ideas and goals and missions that they're working on. And we try to use film to help them tell their story and work with them. So they came to us with a very specific set of movies that they were interested in showing for the community, and we were happy to work with them and bring those films to Montclair for the month of May. So yeah, it's a fun and exciting program.
It definitely is. I love also the collaboration between just everything going on in Montclair. Like, I feel like Montclair as a town is so diverse and has so many things going on. I love that we all get to like get together and work on something that's really amazing. Now, I know you mentioned the films, and it wouldn't be a screening without the films, obviously. So is it like, what's going to be filmed? Are there what's expected to be on screen, or what has been screened already?
Yeah, so we had two goals that we worked on together. The first was they really wanted to focus on AAPI representation for kids and families as sort of the main thrust of the program. So they were really interested in superhero movies or movies about young people and heroism with Asian American or Asian leads, and also hopefully in most cases Asian American directors behind the camera, so that we could have a conversation about how Asian American creatives represent in the field, because there's so much that I think goes into kids movies nowadays in terms of them being the box office dominant force, Marvel movies, things of that nature. So they wanted to for sure show Eternals, which was a film that the director Chloe Zhao had made a film called Nomadland, which won Best Picture last year, and this was her follow-up to that film. And we had showed Nomadland as our opening night film at the Montclair Film Festival in 2020, and it was important to us to sort of give Chloe support for her continued work. We always try to bring back films and directors who featured their work at the Montclair Film Festival. So that was an easy choice. Then, of course, Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings, was a movie. Destin Cretton, who's the director of that film as well, had a really wonderful film that I was able to program many years ago called Short Term 12, which launched the career of Brie Larson and Lakeith Stanfield, and John Gallagher was in that. It was Remy Malek was in that movie. It was an incredible breakthrough cast from that film, and so I really wanted to support Destin as well. And I think the films, both of those films, are very different, even though they're superhero movies and they have different goals and objectives for an audience. So we were proud to do that. I recommended Kubo and the Two Strings because I think it's a beautiful fable that really speaks to younger kids and tells a sort of more historical based story, but it has that sort of hero vibe to it. It's like a hero's journey type of story for a young Japanese character who's a pup. They're done through stop motion animation, which I think is really beautiful. So I just think it's a gorgeous movie, has an incredible score. So I proposed that one and they were on board for that. And then on the adult side, we've shown the work of Nanfu Wang, who lives in Montclair as a MacArthur grant winner, very strong nonfiction filmmaker. And we wanted to bring Nanfu back into the cinema for a screening of In the Same Breath, which is her film about sort of the onset of COVID in China. Again, I think it was 2020. We saw that film at Sundance and really wanted to bring it back. Of course, it didn't end up working out timing wise for our film festival because it was already in theaters and on HBO before that. But we're bringing it back, and Nanfu's going to come and do a Q&A with Holly Kang from AAP on Montclair to talk about the film, and also I think how sort of community violence against Asian American people has become sort of standardized in the wake of COVID, in the way that it was represented as being sort of a blame-based pandemic, which of course is horrible and unfortunate and something we definitely want to stand against and work with them to discuss. I think having a community conversation about that topic is very important as well. So we found like a way to do both of those things and keep the program sort of contained and something that people could digest and do, because there's a lot going on throughout the month for the AAPI festival. There was a Lantern Festival, I think, that's being rescheduled and things of that nature. So they just had a lot of activities going on, and we just wanted to make sure we were balancing ourselves as part of the overall plan for the month.
Yeah, I also love how there's something for everybody to enjoy, and I really love. Yeah,
that's definitely a goal when we program, right? So we want to try and find things that we feel reach a wide number of people. Not every movie's for every person. We want to find things that we think will reach as many people as possible and give everyone a chance to find something for themselves. So
exactly, and that is amazing. But I just wanted to say, please correct me if I'm wrong, but since this is the first AAPI screening for Montclair Film, amazing, that's awesome. Will there be an annual screening for the month of May in the future? Will this continue?
Yeah, I think so. We want to work with them again. I do want to mention, like, we've been showing work by Asian filmmakers for many years and constantly. So like I mentioned, Nanfu's had films in the film festival. We just opened the Claridge where constantly we had, Drive My Car. We've shown the films of Hong Sang-soo. So we're exploring Asian filmmaking from Asia in a meaningful way constantly. And we hope people who are interested in that subject will come see things year round. So I don't want it to feel like it's just like a one-off thing. What made this special, I think, was the focus on families, and of course having Nanfu there with us for a Q&A. And we definitely want to do it again year after year. But I do want to say, there should be, we have a commitment to showing great work from around the world and, from Asian American filmmakers as well year round. So I'm hopeful that we can continue to see more representation in the industry, in the film industry in general, so that people get an opportunity to make films and that we can show them and continue to show them on a year-round basis at the film festival in October as well. We're always on the lookout for work. So I hope that it's part of a longer-term commitment, not just to May, but to sort of a 12-month, a year experience for people who are interested in seeing that work.
especially. And not only just for AAPI, but can we also expect screenings for other months and even for the 12 months, just like you said, such as, Black directors for the month of February and even beyond, or even women directors for March and beyond?
Yeah, totally. We've done community-driven Black History Month related screenings every year since I've been here for 8 years. So we've done that, as free for the community. Come and check it out. We had a robust program in May of this year. We partnered with the library and with other organizations to show different work. We partner. Women filmmakers are part of our overall commitment. Again, like I just don't want people to feel like it's 1 month and done. Like we want that work integrated in on a year-round basis. We have a really great film playing at the Claire right now called Emergency. That's directed by a young African-American filmmaker. At the film festival itself again in October, we're always looking to have a really balanced program that speaks to the community. We're partnering with Montclair this month for LGBTQIA+ related films as well. So we've got a whole program running there. We're doing an outdoor screening of Rocky Horror for Pride. We have Priscilla, Queen of the Desert playing for Pride. So we've got a really strong commitment. We're partnering with the Trans Affirming Alliance as well. Again, talking about violence against a community and wanting to counterbalance that with thoughtful film programming, giving people a space to sort of process and have conversations around what's happening in the community. There's another example that I think is really important. So we'll continue to do that work across the community. And we're always looking for partners. So if people have groups or organizations and they want to see work elevated or speaks to their mission, they can reach out to us at Montclair Film, and we'd love to have the conversation with them about how to get started and drawing that audience in an authentic way, meaningful way through what their work is.
Yeah, I especially do love that. Yes, it is like a month thing as well, but I also love that you're saying that it's beyond that, like the all 12 months, like making that the norm. And I absolutely really do love that. And that leads really well into my next question of how do we keep progressing the importance of representation in media when, especially in the mainstream, the Oscars and all that, when representation is mostly cis white men?
Yeah, as a cis white man, one of the things we have to do, no, I'm serious, one of the things we absolutely have to do is give up some space. And so one of the reasons why I think an example with the AAPI partnership that I like is, I'm not going to be there running the Q&A. I don't have to impose my sensibility on the program. AAPI Montclair came to us and said, we want to do these films. And we're putting our institutional knowledge and power behind putting those films on with them. And we're giving them the opportunity. These are women, Asian American women who were the leaders of the group who came to us. They're programming the films. They're running the Q&A. It's their space. We are there to support them and offer them the opportunity. So on the institutional side, I think continuing to leverage what our work and what we do on a daily basis toward the work of people in the community who want to be seen as represented on screen is important. So I support that with my work. And, it's not about me feeling like it's mine or anything like that. It is mine. Film is mine. I have a global perspective on film work, and that's important. On the other hand, the industry has to do a much better job too. We need to see more representation from directors, writers, producers, studio leads, people greenlighting work for the big screen. Streaming has, I think, been a boon to diversity. I think there's a lot more diverse work that's available on Netflix or HBO Max or that type of thing. But the actual film business, the entertainment industry for film in theaters, less so. People are trying to make very vanilla global statements, apolitical statements. Spider-Man is not a political movie. Spider-Man plays everywhere in the world, and it makes a ton of money, and things are getting more and more homogenized that way. And those perspectives are becoming more and more homogenous, and we need creatives to diversify the field as well. I can only show work that's been made. I'm not out here producing movies. I'm not, we don't have the resources to be creating funds to give people to go make films, etc. We're in the exhibition and festival world. So at the same time as we need to be giving up space and partnering and putting our resources that we can behind people who have done that work and giving them a platform to share it and build an audience for it. The industry in parallel needs to do the same. And so we advocate for that as well with partners. And the most important thing people can do to support is to come out, put your ticket buying dollar where your values are, and come see a film and do a talk back and be engaged and support the work, because without support, no one's going to fund it. Unfortunately, we live in a very capitalist system that's going to have box office results and award shows driving the engine of what people talk about and care about. That's not how I function on a personal level with my relationship to film, but I know a lot of people do. And so until that changes, we have to support it. And so I'm hoping that people will continue to do that. And younger people in particular have a lot of control and power to do that. So I hope that they will get out there and re-engage with cinemas.
I hope so as well, especially as a college student. Like now is like the time to morph and change kind of the norm,
Yeah, please. I'm ready for you guys to do that. I'm here for you. Come to me.
Yes.
Let's do it together.
And I love that you guys are a resource for us to help change with that. And I know you're talking about support and all that. And speaking of support, are there any other special screenings or events that are coming up for the rest of the year? I know you've touched upon them briefly before. I don't mind getting a quick rundown.
No problem. So this Friday is our screening of In the Same Breath with Nanfu Wang, and then Kubo and the Two Strings is playing on Saturday, both at Cinema 505 in downtown Montclair, which is right across the street from the Claridge. We've taken over the Claridge movie theater and we're operating that on a daily basis. So we have 365 days a year. We're showing 6 to 10 films at all times. Give a look at claridge.org if there's something that catches your fancy. We've got Everything Everywhere All at Once playing right now. We've got Emergency playing right now. We're opening Top Gun tomorrow because I have to. But we're excited for like the slate of the summer. I know people are looking for entertainment options. We hope people continue to do that. Out Montclair program, we have a free outdoor screening of Rocky Horror next Friday, June 3rd. Taking place that's at Lackawanna Plaza. We have a live cast who's going to be performing the film with the movie at the same time. So it's going to be that's a lot of fun. We do that every month at the Claridge. Out Montclair still has a robust program. We're showing Watermelon Woman by Cheryl Denier. And we have an incredible lineup of films running through the end of the month through until Pride on June 11th. We're partnering with Pride. Our building will be open during the festival. And then the film festival itself takes place October 21 through the 30th. We'll have, again, like 150 filmmakers coming in from all over the country to share their work, Q&As, parties. We'll be at the Wellmont, we'll be at the MKA Auditorium, the Claridge, all over town, showing movies for those 10 days, getting people ready for what's next coming down the pike on the film side. So there's a lot to do. And we hope that people feel like it's theirs. This belongs to the community. We're a nonprofit. We belong to the community, and we want to see people support it. We're open. This is it's not a closed door. We're very much open to hearing from people about what they're interested in. So,
no gatekeeping here.
I do a little bit of gatekeeping. Can't be the only gatekeeping I have is not something that's not propaganda or self-serving or But yes, absolutely, we'd love to work with people to elevate what they're working on. So.
Exactly. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming on again to talk about this. This has been a really fun interview to do. And with that being said, back to you guys in the studio.
Sorry, Facebook. No one heard anything other than Joe and whoever was in their car. Thank you, Lara, for that beautiful interview with Tom Hall. It was quite swell. Terry, very quickly before we even go on to our first story,
oh goodness,
as someone that is half Filipino, what does Asian American Pacific Islander Month mean to you?
Oh my goodness, I love this question because it makes me very excited to get back in touch with my culture and the culture of other people. I feel like me being from a mixed background, I'm half Filipino, half Black, you're kind of constantly in an identity crisis, but like knowing that a part of you is recognized and you have different parts of the year that you could really take the time and sit back and learn a little bit more about yourself and really indulge in your culture. I've been literally eating Filipino food during that month specifically more than usual, just because I'm like, it's my month. I could do this. And then and if you know anything about Filipino food, that stuff is high in cholesterol, but it's okay.
Who cares,
Who
man?
cares?
Eat
It's my
it.
month.
Yes,
We eat it.
sir.
So I'm really excited. I am really excited, honestly, to just keep getting back in touch with my culture and sharing it with everybody. So that was such a fun interview to listen to. So I'm glad Montclair Film's doing stuff like that.
You know what, Terry? Keep eating all the Filipino food as much as you can. And you know what? Don't even stop at May 31st, man. Continue it for a life.
Oh,
Yes. Even
For
if you
sure.
have health problems in the future, who cares?
Who cares? We're
Who
here
cares?
for a
Delicious.
fun time, not a long time.
Yes, sir.
Precisely.
I'll bring some to
Yeah.
the station. I'll bring some to the station one day.
Dude, if you did, okay, very quickly before going to our first story, where I used to work, there is this his name was Merwin, and he was from the Philippines, moved here in like when he was in elementary school. Great guy, has a kid, by the way. I was shocked. Anyways, he brought in food one day. He's like, we're having a cookout, whatever. I got you, bro. He brought it in. I was like, this is so delicious. I was
When
in
I'm
heaven.
back up there, we're going to get food, dude. I'm
Yes,
serious.
sir, Terry. Let's make it happen, man.
Let's make it happen.
Don't tempt me with a good time. Now we got some stories to talk about though, because this is the Morning Buzz, not a food show, which I kind of have, everyone. If you tune in Sundays at 9 a.m. It's on Spotify too. All the feels, humble brag. Anyways, guys. Oh no. Winnie the Pooh, guys. Are you familiar with Winnie?
A little bit. I think so.
Sort of an icon, little chubby bear.
I know
love
of him.
some
Just a little
honey.
guy.
Yeah, yo, Winnie the Pooh, absolute icon.
He's
So
so
on
cute.
January 1st, the original Winnie the Pooh universe, with the exception of Tigger, because Tigger got his own things going on, has officially entered public domain, which allows anyone to work on their original iterations of Winnie the Pooh and include them in any creative work, including movies, musicals, plays, etc. So people are definitely making, children cartoon shows, right? Using the same Winnie the Pooh. Maybe he's like in the future. No, are you kidding me? It's the internet, y'all. We do not care about them kids. These kids can catch these hands on Monday through Thursday and Friday, Saturday, Sundays. Hey, we'll let the kids have Sundays, all right? Anyways, guess what kind of genre this movie's gonna be, guys? If you had to guess.
It's maybe comedy.
Yeah, maybe comedy.
Maybe
Joe?
comedy.
I could see comedy. Yeah, I could. I think the problem is that I read the thing.
You did your job.
Yeah.
Did our jobs.
Yeah.
Imagine like Winnie the Pooh Law and Order collaboration.
Hilarious.
That would be hilarious.
Winnie the Pooh, but like rom-com, like he falls in love, and
Ugh.
then it's like, then they break up. He goes onto the plane, and he's like,
Mhm.
Deborah, I'd still love you.
Deborah, I still love you. I'm Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie trying to find his honey, you get it?
That
was good, right? I know.
And Terry's been kicked off the show. Well, guys, all of us were wrong. Only Joe knows because she read this, or they read the script. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is a movie being made, and it's not a comedy. It is a full-on horror movie, and the star of the movie is Winnie the Pooh himself, who is a killer. Yes, sir, you heard it right. Directed by Rise Frake Waterfield and stars Craig David Dowsett as Winnie, Maria Taylor as Maria. That's hilarious. Danielle Ronald as Zoe. A lot of these people, I'm not too familiar with the characters, but Chris Cordell as Piglet. Guys, I saw some screens of the film. They haven't released a trailer yet. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I'm going to try to get it up on my laptop. But how do you guys feel about Winnie the Pooh entering public domain and being used in creative new ways like this?
Is it animated?
No, it's a live action.
Wait,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
okay.
They're like in
with the actual
costumes.
bear.
Is
Oh,
it like a like you go to like Disney or whatever, and there's
Yeah.
like a guy in a Winnie the Pooh
It's
costume, or is it
kinda-
like a bear?
It's okay. I will show you pictures. I would say he's more wearing a mask. So think.
It's
Okay.
giving Five Nights
Yeah.
at Freddy's,
No,
honestly.
that's why I'm not
Hold
really
on.
surprised about the horror
Ugh,
direction
I
because
hope we're ready for this.
because
guys.
I regrettably know enough about Five Nights at
Oh!
Freddy's. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh!
Uh-huh.
oh, I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like it. Oh, there's
Yeah.
more. Okay. There's more screens
Listeners,
somewhere.
I really
But-
don't think you should Google this to our listeners. Facebook, I'm so sorry.
Nah, sorry, Facebook. This is the front. See, look
Okay.
at,
Wow.
there's Piglet and crew. I don't know if I can show that part. But yeah, man, this is so absurd on so many different levels.
I don't even know how to feel about this. Joe, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, Joe, please.
Okay, well, that makes that image was an image that I have now seen with my eyes.
We need to take a minute for
Yeah,
that.
for real.
I think it's just like it's how do I put this? It's not what I expected, and I almost wish it was more like I expected.
Okay.
Not because I'm like so freaked out by this new thing that I'm like, oh no, go back. It should be kid friendly, but more because I think it would be like almost more scary if it wasn't what I like. If it wasn't actual, like it's a scary mask, but more like if there's just like a guy in like a full Winnie the Pooh costume killing people, I think that would almost be scarier, and also
Yeah.
it would be funnier.
For real. That honestly,
would be
I like your
funnier.
direction. See, that's why you need a film major in house to talk about things like this. Honestly, I like your version so much better than homie's version over here. I just think this one, there's no universe in which this does well anywhere.
No way.
I think I like the idea of it. I think what you said, Joe, would be so much cooler. This is interesting though to see where public domain kind of goes in the future, because all these kind of IPs at some point become available. So yeah, it's kind of interesting.
True. I'm astonished. Like, you guys, I'm literally lost for words right now that I just saw that with my eyeballs. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
But this is like one of those ideas where you're like with your buddies and you're like, oh my God, would it be so funny if we did this? And they actually do it, and then you have to sit there and reflect. Like, we really just did that. But
like you gotta think about your life.
You really do. But I actually might watch it just because it seems really funny.
I feel like I have to, you know?
Yeah. It's giving me like Purge meets Five Nights at Freddy's. Bite of 87.
No, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So interesting. I need a trailer. I really do need a trailer immediately.
Whenever this trailer comes out, I don't know if it's going to be on a Monday, Tuesday. It doesn't matter.
We'll do an update.
We're updating you on this show specifically.
Absolutely.
We're going to be on Winnie the Pooh watch. But that does it for Winnie the Pooh. We have to talk about some interesting things. As Starbucks hates Mexicans, everyone. Terry.
No, you're kidding. Okay. So Starbucks has asked coffee shops to remove the term Frappuccino from their menus across Mexico. What? The company sent letters to various cafes in Mexico in which it explains that the Frappuccino brand is for its exclusive use. So it requests that they stop using it on their menus and for advertising. Various reports on social networks by small cafes around Mexico have pointed out that the international coffee brand Starbucks is asking for the removal of the term Frappuccino from its menus because it's registered trademark exclusively for the American company. Local cafeterias pointed out that they received a letter from the law firm Attorney Intellectual Property Boutique, which allegedly represents the interests of Starbucks and assures that the Frappuccino brand is a term registered in the country by the Mexican Institute of Industrial Property, IMPI, for the exclusive use of Starbucks. Aristogae Noticias confirmed in the IMPI trademarks acquiesce the term Frappuccino is registered as a trademark for the exclusive use of Starbucks. In addition, according to the registration of the website of the United States Patent and Trademark Office, Starbucks registered the Frappuccino trademark to market coffee, tea, cocoa, espresso drinks, and drinks based on coffee, tea, cocoa, and or espresso, ready-to-drink coffee, ice cream smoothies, and frozen sweets, end quote. The shady barista in green aprons had to say, quote, "At Starbucks, we have made significant investments to develop our brand and intellectual property over the last 50 years. We own a substantial amount of intellectual property, including our Frappuccino trademark and other rights to the name and trademarks of Starbucks," end quote.
Wow.
It's the shady barista in green aprons for me, Isaiah. He really had to include that.
Had to. As a former shady barista in green, I hate this.
This makes so much sense for you, though.
It's a hit piece on my former employers who didn't pay me enough.
So how does this make you feel, knowing that you were once affiliated with that?
I was once affiliated with terrorism, if you want to call it that. No, I'm kidding.
Such a radical and dramatic.
No, but this is actually so stupid. I always thought just Frappuccino was a word. I didn't know it was a trademarked thing.
I think I didn't know they came up with it.
Yeah, I thought it was just something that like existed, I guess. But yeah, I guess the workaround would just be call it frappes. That's what they do in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's what probably most of these things are going to do. But I feel like this is so petty to go to that many small shops, which I doubt have big impact on Starbucks's anything.
Exactly.
And for them to just use the word Frappuccino and then make
I want to know who the whistleblower was for this
Yeah,
situation.
Yeah, who told him?
Who told him? Like,
No,
who
you know what it was? I bet you Starbucks probably has like a group of people that just travel around the world looking at menus. Yeah, does that say Frappuccino on it? Murder.
I'm watching you. The frap release.
Yeah, for real. They send the team out there. This is just, I don't know, man. Starbucks, I only go with okay. I don't know if I could say that actually. But if I had a preference, I prefer Dunkin' Donuts now.
That was smart.
Yeah,
yeah.
I like a Starbucks from time to time, but I feel like this is kind of ridiculous. Like, I think you should just like as consumers, we just double down on the Frappuccino thing, because if you just call other things Frappuccinos enough, how are you going to trademark it? It's the Kleenex problem.
Yeah, I love that idea, Joe.
Oh my gosh.
Salads, Frappuccinos, everything is a Frappuccino.
Everything's a Frappuccino now. How are they going to trademark a word that's just like part of the common
their
vocabulary?
thing is only relevant
Kleenex,
for
Band-Aids.
teas and coffees, you know? Everything else, fair game.
I can't with you both. Seriously. Do you guys remember the Fine Bros, the Kids React?
No.
They tried to trademark the word react.
I know.
You can't just do that. For Frappuccino, I kind of get it because they kind of came up with it, but like I said, like we were saying, it's kind of petty. But you know, businesses and their money and their trademarks, at the end of the day, they feel the need to interfere. So
yeah, that React channel has a lot of drama, man. That's I've heard bits and pieces. That stuff's crazy.
I know.
And I feel like everyone probably had that 2-minute phase, or like, I kind of want to be on the React show.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
That was my dream as a kid. Me and my best friend from back home, we would watch it together every single episode, and we're like, we're gonna be on there one day. Turns out, like, a lot of the people who were coming back and saying, like, yeah, they wouldn't let us actually say our own opinions,
which is so bizarre because I don't know, that's the point of the show. No,
exactly. It's that whole kids say the darndest things type of vibe, you know. You would think you just let them talk,
just let the kids say the darndest thing.
Yeah,
isn't that the point? Ugh, it's such a shame.
Guys, let's go hit one more wow, I almost said story, y'all. Goodbye, sweet prince. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone across the world, even in Uzbekistan, we have a very sad thing to talk about here. I don't know why the shade to Uzbekistan, but this is the saddest thing in American history, as officials have held a ceremony for the removal of the last public payphone stall in New York City. Moment of silence, everyone, but not silent at all, because FCC does not like silence. I don't know what that was. That was me crying. The payphone was removed with a crane from the sidewalk on 7th Avenue and 50th Street in Midtown Manhattan. And if you don't know New York City too well, it's just south of Times Square. So officials said it was the last public payphone in the city, but there are still privately owned ones that are probably monitoring your calls and making sure that they're listening to everything. No, I'm kidding. Well, maybe they are. Anyways, payphones, there are 4 permanent full-length Superman phone booths as well. The city began removing the payphones. Joe, move your mouse.
Sorry.
Okay. It's
gone.
We've gone unhinged here on the morning bus. It became obsolete, apparently, guys. They're now public Wi-Fi hotspots. Since then, the city has removed thousands of payphones across all 5 boroughs. In 2014, there were more than 6,000 active public payphones on city sidewalks, according to city websites. They were officially stated to remove by 2020, but a panorama kind of probably messed that up. City officials said on the website, the public payphones, which provided free access to 911 and 311 non-emergency city services, will still use for regular calls and long-distance calls, but their usage had gone way down. Guys, it's a sad time to be a payphone because all your family's dead. How do you guys feel about this? It's definitely I don't know.
I don't know. I'm more worried about people who don't have access to smartphones and cell phones and things like that. I hope, because there's still going to be private owned payphones, but I hope they won't be expensive to use, just because the majority of people who are going to be using it are people who don't have enough money to get cell phones or smartphones in the first place. But it's kind of sad. I kind of like seeing the payphones and things like that going
you
through
like
New
the
York.
aesthetics?
The aesthetic was kind of nice. I feel like it's kind of a New York vibe. You know? Like, I'm in New York. Here's a payphone, But
I mean,
not that I won't be less in New York when I go in there and it doesn't smell the best, or there's little city rats, going around. I think that's
city rats.
Love
city,
those little guys.
Yeah, I call them
sky ones and the ones that live underground as well.
Yes, exactly. So I think it won't make it less New York. It's just kind of, the end of an era. It's a little sad.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting to see how times have changed, though, to the point where I feel like just the idea that those things are going away just makes it more feel like we've developed so much in like a very quick span of time. Smartphones haven't been around that long, everyone. This is definitely kind of trippy to see that's even just gone. I guess newspapers are probably next. Who knows? It's definitely interesting. I will say I think I'm glad they're using those spots for other things like public Wi-Fi hotspots and things like that, because
that's nice.
Sometimes service can be a mess regardless of what kind of carrier you have. Sometimes you have dead zone areas, so I guess at least they're putting something in place of that. But yeah, shout out to all the phone booths for all the calls that they were able to deliver through hundreds of years. I doubt it was hundreds, probably like 60 of years. Yes, salute. Thank you, payphones. How about a payphone? Anyways, before I start singing more Maroon 5, that is the end of the morning buzz here on WMSC 90.3 Upper Montclair. We appreciate all of you. Tomorrow is a recap show. This is the final live show of the week. And enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy life. Go outside, breathe some fresh air. Maybe find a payphone, make a call on it. Actually, maybe don't, because you're supporting someone's business. Anyways, y'all. Bye, I guess. Joe, final words.
Goodbye.
Yay.
Hey, you're listening to